Good to go. We're to talk like everybody else in Jacksonville right now. Like Jacksonville folks salty right now, and I get it. I get it. The Jags finally have a coach, though. We'll talk all about that here for just a little bit. But get to ABC. Y'all just calm down. Get to ABC. Like it's a good weekend for ABC. I think it's going to rain tomorrow. Is that right? It's supposed to rain tomorrow.
Tomorrow and Sunday.
Yeah. So it's a good weekend to just go load up at ABC, stay in the house, watch some Netflix or whatever it is, Apple TV, whatever you want to watch. There's really not any football on, Pro Bowl and Senior Bowl, but who cares about those? And then just chill, ABC and chill.
People like not Pro Bowl so much, but people like the Senior Bowl practices, right?
Yeah, but those are done.
Yeah, I mean that's the only time the game is
terrible.
It's terrible. Like the best players now, Jermaine Johnson, shout out to him, former UGA, and then turned FSU star.
No. Just he's former FSU.
Okay, now I just want to get.
If we're gonna play this transfer portal game, then these guys got to realize where they end up is what they're referred to.
I'm cool with McKenzie Milton claiming just UCF. I prefer he don't claim FSU.
Yeah, he didn't technically play.
Yeah. So,
but I mean,
but no, I'm with you. I get
McKenzie Milton because he was a star at UCF, but I'd never heard of Jermaine Johnson until he went to FSU. FSU made you, homie. So you go there.
I'm shocked that Mike Norvell and JP aren't like they gotta like once he gets drafted in the first round, they need to be showing like this is why you come.
Agree.
Like they're not marketing this enough, but I did not originally like the fact that he went to the Senior Bowl.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it was. I thought
why? What did you think was the risk?
I thought his season was so good,
mm-hmm.
and it wasn't one of those fluke days. It wasn't like who was the we always talk about. I can't think of his name. Didn't make it in the NFL because of his lifestyle choices, allegedly. Defensive end from Missouri.
Oh, Michael Sam.
Yeah. So, like when you looked at Michael Sam's film, right? You saw he had 3 sacks against Florida, but I think Florida won 4 games that year. Mm-hmm. 3 sacks against some FCS directional school, and then another sorry school. Like, I get why those guys got to go, but like his production came against all the big time schools. Like, I'd argue that he fell asleep against the lesser.
I hear you.
So like, I'm like, just tell him to cut on the Notre Dame film. Tell him to cut on the Miami film. Tell him to cut on the Florida. Like, just because even though Florida fans say he got like 6 tackles and a sack, it's a pretty damn good game. Mm-hmm. I would tell him to do that. But then the way he's done it, he's only doing practices. He's pulled out of the game.
Yeah.
He like what he did to that Kentucky offensive lineman was borderline child abuse. But I like that.
I can't think of the way they do the Senior Bowl now in the practices. I really would have a hard time coming up with a scenario where I would advise somebody not to go. It's actually pretty dope the way they do it in the practices now. I think it's changed in the last decade. Jim Nagy,
the guy's
done a good job with it. And it is really 4 days of pure evaluation, and they're setting you up for success. You still have to compete,
right?
But it's not as much. It used to be like we're learning the offense for the game and we're splitting this. Like it's not as much that anymore. But anyway, actually, I'm glad we're mentioning that because that plays right along with where I want to go with the Jags. Doug Pederson hired late last night for some reason. I don't understand why we do these things. We fire Herbs at midnight. We hired him at 10:30. I don't understand. I don't know if Shad's in a different part of the world where it's daytime there. I don't know. But that's really like, I mean, why? Why would you drop that at 11 o'clock at night? Just do it during the day. So at the end of the day, I want to go through this a couple different ways because I think it's interesting. I think it's really interesting right now. Spillman's going to end up here. Looks like that's going to happen. Should be announced today, from what everybody's saying and from what I heard this morning. And so at the end of the day, Jag fans. You know, when you came up with that short list to start 48 days ago, whatever it was, most people had Doug Pederson at the top of that list, right?
Yep.
I was Hackett one, and that's pure greed because of relationship. But even I was like, okay, yeah, you get Doug Pederson, like that's pretty dope. And then we got into the Trent Baalke thing, and then you heard Spillman, and you're like, okay, that would be dope too. And then we were throwing a curveball by Byron, right? And I think people fell in love with the Byron Adrian Wilson thing, and then that went away. So I say all that to just say, at the end of the day, you have a guy who's coaching the NFL, who's had success even beyond the Super Bowl, and you have a GM with a long history in the NFL. And so you have something that you didn't have here last year. It's a good hire, but I don't like the whole narrative of, well, look at that. If you'd just been patient, it all worked out in the end. Because of what you missed in that 7 weeks, and because of the fact that you could have done this, because he didn't have a job. You could have done this 5 weeks ago. You could have had a full staff at the Senior Bowl, right? So
you could have actually looked like the most competent organization at full strength.
Right.
Like, one of the coolest things about Urban Meyer was, and obviously this was pro days, but just remember how badass it was at Trevor Lawrence's pro day.
Yeah.
Everybody else is on the sideline.
He's snapping him.
He's basically handing them the ball. You could have done that at the Senior Bowl. And what does that do? Does it do anything for the rookies? They don't get a choice.
Like, right.
But what it does do, the perception across the league with not GMs, but free agents and all these other things that, oh, maybe they got their act together this time.
Well,
like, let's check them out.
And in addition to that, James, like the Shrine Bowl was played last night. And the Senior Bowl gets all the love, but the Shrine Bowl was full of guys who are going to be drafted in rounds 3 through 7.
Whatever, yeah.
So you could have had your full staff in Vegas. You could have had your full staff in Mobile. And I just talked about how these things are set up. You could have gotten a lot better evaluation with guys that know the system they're going to run. You could have had your OC and DC in place by now. So in other words, what I'm saying is, while it is good, and I think long-term, all these hires, they're a crapshoot anyway, but long-term, this is about as good as you could have asked for from a pure hire. It does not discount that the process was ridiculous, clunky, and dysfunctional. And you missed out on opportunities that could have helped you and could have long-term effects. So don't sell me that, oh, well, just if everybody had been patient, it all worked out. No, it didn't. It really didn't. Now, 2 years from now, if they're in the playoffs, okay, cool. Good. Winning solves everything. We talk about that all the time. Winning makes you forget dysfunction. But short term, miss me with that narrative. I have no interest in hearing that. Like, that's short-sighted, it's uneducated, it's lazy, and there's a serious slant to that narrative.
Which goes back to what we've talked about a little bit over the past couple of shows. I think you brought it up more in depth. Might have been, I think maybe it was Monday's show, where you said you don't understand, like, why are people saying the media is for like this or in the pocket, and that's why. Is
the media saying this?
Yeah.
Okay, because I've just seen it random on Twitter.
It's like our guy Lenny got lit up a little bit too for.
Oh, did he? Is that what he did?
He tweeted that. Basically, Pederson was a good hire. He's right. See, the disorganization was all a narrative pushed by social media. Frangie was was talking about that the other day. The reason why it's not so much that they just disagree with you. It's just that at no point has it ever seemed like you took a stance that was against the team until it was convenient. It's easy to say Urban wasn't the good choice now.
Right.
It was harder to say it when you saw bad things week 3.
Right.
Like, it's easy to say not Gus Marone. Basically, Gus Marone. It's easy to say Gus Bradley was a terrible coach now, but the North remembers when everybody every year was saying Gus Bradley, this was going to be the year, and people, I think we talked about it on the show. I had a guy call me to train his kid to play the band. What was remember the terminology?
Yeah,
what
was that?
I forgot, but it was whatever. We were the only ones calling it that at the time.
I forget what it was.
But like, his son was 8. Long story short, and I said, your son is 8. They don't need to know how to play that. They need to know how to play. They need to know how to run.
This is gonna drive me crazy now.
It's gonna drive. Basically, all it was an old school Rover.
Yeah,
but then with the Doug Marone thing, oh, we're going to do this. It's never a good time to be critical. And it's like, then when this happens, you went from last week having a bunch of people saying, oh, well, we would love Byron, we would love this. And great, cool. Nobody talked about Pederson. But now all of a sudden you hear Pederson, and now it's the world's greatest hire. I'm not saying you're wrong. What I'm saying is you put out volume, you talk a lot for a living, and then people have receipts. So they come back and they check you on these receipts. And that's why they don't like you.
The Pederson thing is interesting from that perspective because he was the first one they interviewed.
Right.
Right. And then there was this big gap. I guess he had a second interview pretty early too. But then they went away. And so I just don't think you can explain away organizationally why it took a month after you interviewed him to hire him.
I think and I think they're still, I'm still, if you're going to hire the Spielberg guy, whatever, you're going to probably end up firing Balky, or Balky will term out.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Balky's not a long-term player.
It'll be the same Balky that was here 3 years ago that nobody even knew he was here.
So, which is cool. But it doesn't change the narrative that people believe you hired the only person who said, okay, well, Balky can be in the room, whatever. I just want to coach.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the best thing for it. But I'll say this. We can at least admit, like, we're a show for the people. We hear what you're saying. If not us too, the people feel that there's dysfunction, right? Why did Pederson get fired in Philly? How do you fire a guy, the GM?
Yeah.
Just a new GM wanted something new?
He had a big disagreement with the GM over, I think, personnel and stuff like that.
So that was it. It was just a person. So what? Well, that might be an issue if Balky's still here. So it wasn't like, because when I was asked the question, I said, I don't know.
Well, if you go back,
it wasn't any off the like.
No, it wasn't. If you go back, you remember a couple years ago where the whole stink was. Remember, Philly pulled their starters when they were in a game. And at the time, it was like they were tanking the game. That was Pederson.
Right. Okay.
That was Pederson. And that was kind of like at the end of this, I guess, butting heads with the GM of this is my team. I'm going to do it the way I want.
Yeah. Okay. So that's fair. So then now that clears, because the only red flag I would have had was, well, did he get fired because the players didn't like him? They weren't vibing with him? Or was it like, okay, so if he was arguing with his boss, GM.
So I talked to a buddy of mine who's a huge Philly fan this morning, and one guy doesn't speak for all of them.
Right.
But I didn't realize that Philly fans hate their GM about as much as we hate ours down here. Even now, they can't stand the guy.
So just Philly in general, they hate everybody.
No, that's true.
It's just true. For a city that's nicknamed the city of brotherly love. Like, remember,
you love your brothers. That's it.
Like, remember, ironically, during a time when everybody was bashing Black Lives Matter for protests and everything, you're talking about a city that had to prepare itself for riots.
Yep.
After they win.
Yep, that's true. Yep. That's true.
They're greasing light poles.
Yeah.
For the
Yeah. Philly, you can't talk about wasting taxpayer money when
like, dude,
a mill went in so y'all wouldn't destroy the freaking city.
Yeah, they still did. I think they still did.
Because you were happy.
Good. They still did pretty good. They booed Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Like that generation only gets worse.
Well, I think, and we're gonna get to Byron in a second. But I think, having said all that and not dismissing the dysfunction, I think Pederson's a good hire for Trevor. And I think that's kind of what gets me. I don't get mad about it because I don't care that much. But I think that's the irritant here is like, he was a good hire for Trevor a month ago. Like, this is probably the ideal situation for Trevor and his development. Now, the OC I don't think matters as much because they're going to run what Pederson wants to run. What are you going to do with the defense coordinator? Because I think if you'd have done this a month ago, you could have had a chance to keep Cullen.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't think anybody had a bad thing to say about this year. And the guy's in demand. Well, now he's out of his contract here. He's moving on. Now you've got to interview all these different coaches. We got to hear Chris Carter say, just regurgitate stupid stuff. Like I don't know. He annoys me, man.
I can see that.
I don't know why. But I love Good Morning Football. I loved when Nate Burleson was on there. But now that he's on there, it's almost unwatchable to me. I don't know what it is, man. That guy just annoys me. But point being, you're literally starting from scratch, staffing wise, all that kind of stuff, when you are in the most important stretch of your offseason.
Facts.
You're a week away from combine prep, like getting all your ducks in a row. Here's our board, here's who we're paying attention to. And you're only 3 weeks away from lining up interviews and things like that with players.
This all boils down to this, and this is why fans have every right to call BS. It's we got our man. Like in the history of coaching searches, from college to pros to Pop Warner to high school, it's never, we were turned down 5 times. Nope. This is the exact person that we were going after.
I mean, I get that. What are you going to do? What kind of press conference you going to have?
I
want to introduce you to Coach Pederson. We had to settle.
Right.
But shit, he's here.
But just don't don't lie. Just be like, Coach Pederson's our new head coach. He's the first one. Man, this is who we're riding with. This is who we're hitching our wagon to. Just like I love my guy. I have a fun, like, I don't always agree with him, but I'm at Jordan DELUGO, Jordan DeLugo.
Okay.
Covers the Jags, does a great job. He posted, well, if Trevor can get behind Doug Pederson higher, then I don't see why the rest of it. What the hell is he supposed to say? What is the starting quarterback that's I comment, I'm like, bro, I don't agree with 90% of the things that 25 and under do.
Yeah.
Just because they're happy about it doesn't mean I have to be happy about it.
Yeah.
We're in different worlds. I'm almost 40. He's just barely, he's still got milk on his lip. Like, of course he's still saying yes, sir, nurse, no, sir, to coaches. He hasn't realized that he's the most influential person in the franchise yet.
Yep.
I like his attitude, but I'm just saying, like, Trevor's like, yeah, okay, well, now I got a new boss.
Well, I think everything's so sensitive here right now.
Actually, I probably would love Trevor even more. Like the Conor McGregor, who the fuck is this guy? Like, imagine if he would have tweeted you didn't have to say it, just tweet the GIF. Like, that would have been bad, but don't do that, Trevor. Like, be what you are.
What's funny is I felt like there were 2 days. There was like a week and a half ago when the Byron stuff came out and it fell apart. And then yesterday it seemed like, and I'm not the best one to gauge Twitter reaction because I don't spend a lot of time on there. But it seemed like when I went on last night, Jag fans were just out of control, done. And I guess it's because I can't even say his name. The dude from Oakland was the rumor.
The Biscotti.
Yeah, whatever his name is.
Las Vegas, though.
Yes. Oh, my bad. Same thing. Yeah, so I guess that was what triggered it. And maybe that's why they announced the hire at 11 o'clock. I don't know. But I mean, I'm scrolling through and, man, there was like people going, you know what? I'm done. I'm a free agent as a fan. Like, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, man, this thing has reached a whole new boiling point now. And then now I think, you can, and we talked about this last week. It's done. And there's accountability that isn't going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because if Shad doesn't want to answer questions, Shad don't have to answer questions.
He's proven that.
If they don't want to roll Balky out there, they don't have to roll Balky out there. So there's a bunch of things that I'm just telling you, Jag fans, that y'all are going to have to make a decision on. You can be mad or not. Like, and I choose not to, because you're not going to get the answers. It's not going to happen. And the answer you get is not going to be the truth anyway, if you do get one. So it's just like anything else. Like, at this point, it's just sports. It's just football. I know we all put a lot of time and money into it. But at this point, what are you going to do? And I don't care if you're media or fan or whoever. Like, at some point, they're going to have a press conference.
Oh, yeah.
A bunch of questions are going to be asked. Mia's going to have the biggest nuts in the place, and she's going to ask the hard questions.
Look, she is a treasure that needs to be protected.
She's not going to get a straight answer.
Nope.
And then we're going to move on from that. And then what do you do?
When you say that, I want to be, because yesterday was Women in Sports Day or something, some other made up holiday, but I want to honor. I don't care if it's made up, but I never heard of it.
Why's it got to be during Black History Month?
Right. Facts. I had never heard of it until yesterday, but whatever. Mia has asked a tough question every single time, no matter who's here. She's challenged Tom Coughlin. Mm-hmm. She's challenged Nick. She's challenged Baloney Boy.
Yep.
She's challenged Herbs. I expect she's challenged a big old angry offensive lineman.
No. That wasn't. Remember that was.
Cam.
She
challenged Cam.
Yeah, that's right. I thought you were talking about Warhop. I'm like, no, that was.
No. I'm saying like
that was black on black crime.
Yeah, that was black on black crime. He went after the old black man.
Yeah,
but Mia's going. Mia, if you don't go in there and ask him the tough questions, then let me know if you need some help.
I want to know.
I'll send you some of the questions that I got.
Mia, we need you on because I need to know, like, when you're going to a press conference, what do you listen to? Like, what gets you fired?
Oh, you didn't see her tweet yesterday?
Oh,
Migos.
Man, Migos don't get anybody fired up.
Whatever. I'm saying, I just put that out there. She just quoted a rap song talking about, we move. Oh, it was my bad. It was Meek Mill and Drake.
Okay, now that Meek Mill's different.
We moving birds and we ain't talking about the Eagles. And I was just like, is she listening? Is she trapping before she goes into First Coast News? She's selling dope, moving weight.
Now, Meek Mill's he's top 5 as far as stuff you listen to when you got to do something you maybe not want to do, or you need some courage.
Meek Mill is one of those guys that his flow is just, well, it's different now. Like now it's all up, but before it was like the dreams and nightmares.
Yes,
I was like, oh, okay, it's one of those introspective songs. All right, yeah, I'm thinking about how I grew up. Wait, the beat just changed.
Yeah,
what the hell's going on here?
Yep. Now I want to shoot somebody.
Now I want to fight. Why am I jumping? Why am I? That's when you were good, Meek. Go back to find yourself. But anyways, like the Pederson thing again. I'm not gonna tell fans not to be cautious. I'm gonna be optimistic because I have no choice.
That's just it. That's just you just nailed it. Like you just nailed it. Like, what are you gonna do?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't have anything to bash right now. So like, I'm not gonna just bash the imaginary. He's been in the NFL. He's been successful. If you're telling me the only reason he's not with Philly is because he got in an argument with his boss or his bosses didn't like him, I relate more to him than I relate to Byron right now. So I'm kind of anxious to meet the guy right now. But let's see what his other hires are going to be, and we can all as a family agree that there is some major dysfunction in the Jags office.
That's well said. And again, we're not saying dismiss it. I'm just telling you, there's not going to be any accountability. None.
But yeah, that's the one thing we do know.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to get off.
Whatever in your head you're hoping for, that you're wishing for, that you feel like will heal you as a Jag fan, you're not going to get. Like, that's just not going to happen. So you got 2 choices: therapy, which is expensive. I do recommend it. I'm a big fan of therapy, or get over it. Right. That's your 2. Or now there's a third. Don't pull for the Jags. Don't spend your money on the Jags anymore. It's your money. It's your choice. We all know what's going to happen. Let them start 6-0. You're going to be shelling out that cash.
We're going to be
talking about I've been here, ride or die.
We're going to have they're going to replay Leon Cersei's top 5 worst verses in American hip hop history. With the Jags, the song they made, Jags Time or whatever. Was it 6 9 boy? One of them cats made that song, but you're gonna have that as your ringtone. Nobody even has ringtones anymore, but every Jags fan will have this as a ringtone. You're going to, as much as here's the thing, as much as people complain about 10-10, right? I see it all the time. I agree with 90% of your takes. Guess what you're going to be listening to every day?
All day.
10-10. I appreciate you because it's going to be easier. It's going to be easier for me to be able to walk into a place and say, hey, can I charge you an exorbitant amount of money to be able to talk about your business on a podcast that gets X amount of spins? And they're going to be like,
here's the check.
Here's the check. Fill it. You fill it out and just
Doug, we're pulling for you, homie.
I need it's very stressful. I would just tell people I put this on Twitter to just be praying to play meaningful games in November for the school, for the teams that you root for or the teams you cover. You don't know how to know that you're not making a bowl.
It's not fun.
By Halloween, it's not fun. Yeah. To have to start talking about the draft
and recruiting
after Halloween, that's just, it stinks, man.
It does.
It's not cool at all.
It does. I want to go back to the days where we forgot about recruiting. Right. Literally forgot that it was signing day
because we were so distraught.
Yep.
Because Miles Jack was not down.
Right.
And then wait a minute. We don't even know who's
signing day is Wednesday.
What rank? Where's a class ranked? I don't know.
I remember we got
what's a class?
We got the email from 1010 about signing day, and we're like, signing day? Like the Jags are like, that's a month away. And I was like, no, it's Wednesday. Let's get to
Northeast Florida.
Yeah, let's get Northeast Florida. I want to talk about Byron a little bit. Northeast Florida Executive Health and Med Spa. Get over there. If you're not feeling well, like for example, let's say that you just find you can't get over this, then you may have like a chemical imbalance or something like that. Something simple, something maybe a testosterone shot will take care of. Like if you don't know, then stop moping around. Get on over to Northeast Florida Executive Health and Med Spa, and they'll get you right.
That proton therapy treatment, I'm telling you, like if you don't want to just be popping pills every day, and you've tried every other solution, man, have them hit you with that laser. That's what the whole thing is. And it's like they'll only keep it in a certain area for like 5 to 10 minutes, and then they'll move to the next one. You'll be feeling brand new.
They got all kinds of things over at Northeast Florida Executive Health and Med Spa. Get over there and see them. Nope, St Johns Bluff.
Yep, 3535 St Johns Bluff.
There you go.
Oh wait a minute, no, that's Goodfellas. 35.
It's next door to Goodfellas.
Yeah, right next door to.
Yeah. I mean, look, best
go there,
worlds.
go to Goodfellas right.
And I think there's UPS stores. If you need to mail a package,
I promise. If you bought something off the big game shop and you're wondering why it hasn't shipped yet, I haven't been over there yet. When I go over there, I go right by the UPS store, drop stuff off.
See, you can go get testosterone shot in your ass, ship a package, and then have a cigar. That's a Friday.
Sounds very masculine.
Yeah, I like it. Byron, Leftwich. It's not the popular thing, but I feel like how do I say this? He may have dropped the bag on this too.
Oh, you mean the whole calling out Balky thing?
Everything.
Okay.
Everything. The more I sit down and I digest this, the more I just kind of go, because I like Byron and I want Byron to get a head coaching job. If Byron doesn't get one now, he's going back to a team without Tom Brady. He's going back to a team that the best case scenario for them is to play meaningful games in November, December, right? So it's like you probably, if that's your situation,
you're saying strike when you're hot.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
And whether it's in Jacksonville or wherever it is, because I haven't heard his name anywhere else. Have you?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I haven't really followed it
because the Saints are interviewing the enemy.
They are.
Yeah,
I know they interviewed Flores, Bieniemy, like you're saying, and then I know that Flores is supposed to be top 2 when it comes to the Texans. I don't think it hurts as much as you would think, and this is my reason why. Josh McDaniels was fired from Denver, quit on Indy, and got picked back up. Got a head coaching job this year. A lot of guys don't have any experience. They don't have a Super Bowl ring as a coordinator under their. There's something that stands out about Byron that stands out about even over Hackett. There's been 10 5,000-yard passers in NFL history. Byron's coached 2 of them. Like, the thing is, you can't argue his offensive prowess on top of his own resume. So, let's say they go 6-10 or something next year, or let's say, which that's average. Actually, it would have to be 6-11 or 7-10. NFL's on par with being average after you've had that much success, even with Tom Brady, is still something to be said, because before you had him, you had Jameis, even though he gave as much as he took. You still had that. On top of, ironically, Jameis will be a free agent with a new coach, and he understands your system. So it's not out. I doubt it happens, but it's not out the question that you just bring a quarterback in that has familiarity with your system.
He's might if he was hired somewhere else.
If he was,
he's not coming back to Tampa.
You don't think it's okay? Well, Bob, if he was hired somewhere else, but I think what he's looking at is even if that goes 6-10, 6-11. Bruce Arians has a literally is on a short leash.
Okay,
and not in a bad way.
Yeah,
like,
I like
he's
where you're
not
going with
going to
this.
coach forever. Bruce Arians, who I don't know if I said that, he is to the African American movement what Bear Bryant was.
Mm-hmm.
He means more. Even when Brian Flores sues the NFL and wins, Bruce Arians will mean more for African American coaches than even Mike Tomlin. Because whereas Mike Tomlin, and it's not Mike Tomlin's fault, Mike Tomlin can't go out and hire an all-black staff. They're going to say he got an HBCU up there. They're going to say he has all these other things going. I've heard that before. Like, literally, one coach had 7 black coaches. He had an HBCU staff. The coach who replaced him has 6 black coaches. And, that's yeah, he's doing a good job. Like, whatever. But Mike can't do that. But Bruce Arians literally, like, last year at the Super Bowl, when I looked at the staff, I'm like, holy crap, where are the white people? Mm-hmm. But I also think Bruce is light skinned. So it might make sense. But I think, like, the easier thing is if he moves out the way, Tampa Bay will just take it for continuity, but even if he gets fired eventually.
I completely agree with that. I think what I'm trying to say is, because you brought up McDaniels. McDaniels' resume is way better than Byron's, just because the length of time he's been coaching. Like, I mean, I don't even think that's arguable. Like, McDaniels has done. I mean, even as a head coach, he went to the playoffs with Tebow. Mm-hmm. Right now, you could say he picked Tebow in the first round, but McDaniels' resume is solid, and he should be getting another chance to be a head coach. There's no doubt about that. But when you look around the league at some of the other guys that's being hired, all I'm saying is, at the end of the day, bulky or not, if you're a first-time head coach who used to be a quarterback, you've got what everybody would term a generational quarterback here. So you've got your quarterback. Mm-hmm. You have a ton of cap space. You have the first overall pick. Take bulky out of that. You're just not, and it's a place that wanted you from a fan perspective. It's a place that wanted you here. All I'm saying, and it's not a popular opinion, is I think he dropped the bag on this, if what we're hearing is true. Now, it may not be. Yeah. It may not be that he was ever offered the job. It may not be. But if they really wanted him here, and it was as close as we all heard, and he just said, nope, I want Bulky gone, then in hindsight, if he doesn't get another job, I think this was about as good of a first opportunity as you could ask for.
I hear what you're saying. Mm-hmm. And it's not people might not like it, but I don't think it's as bad of an opinion or take as it might be perceived to be. I think from what I talked to one exec, African American exec, I think it has got nothing to do with I think not the Rooney Rule that we all focus on, but the other effects of the Rooney Rule. I think we're going to see. Well, in 10 years, if we look up, seeing 6 or 7 African-American head coaches won't be not the norm. And the only way that they'll be able to do that.
You're saying it will be the norm to have that many?
I think it won't be looked at as crazy, because there'll be so many African-American coordinators. And I think he'll be one of those guys with that resume. What I do, however, think people, because I had a friend who, before all the Flores stuff came out, kept saying, oh, well, the Giants passed over Flores, which technically they did. Ironically, this team passed over him. And I'm like, did you ever think that Flores, having money still, is not going to put himself in a situation, and maybe he was just like, I don't really care if I get this job or not. And maybe he, not saying, because nobody's, just like an NFL franchise won't say, oh man, we missed on our first 5 or 6 guys and this is who we got. A guy isn't going to say, I didn't want the Giants job. I didn't want this job. I didn't want that. What I mean, but let's look at these franchises that have to, and how many head coaches they've hired in a short amount of time. Let's look at the Commanders in Washington. Stupid, besides having a stupid name, think about what do they have in common with the Jaguars?
Why didn't they go with the red tails?
You know,
did you see the logo?
Doing Black History Month too would have been amazing, but that guy couldn't do it. I'm glad they didn't. You know why? Because he ain't done yet. He's got like 70 more complaints, and the last thing I need to do.
I just want a hat.
I'm with you. Maybe when he's gone, we can but
anyway,
my
go ahead.
point
Sorry.
is they have something in common with the Jaguars. Major dysfunction. Detroit. I don't know what's going on in Detroit, but winning isn't it? They got major dysfunction in Detroit. Cleveland, this was the brightest year they've had in a while. Major dysfunction. I'm trying to think. The Miami, they've had major, like right now, it looks like a major dysfunction going there. Chicago, major dysfunction there. A lot of these places, like if you can argue that if I go take this job where the fans want me, where I played, was one of the better quarterbacks. You ain't had but so many, but I was one of the better quarterbacks. Ooh, I mean, he went to the playoffs, didn't he? A couple times, or was one? He didn't go to the playoffs.
I don't think so.
So
in 07, they went with Garrard.
They made with Garrard. Okay, well, okay, fine, whatever. Maybe he wasn't one of the better ones.
Okay,
My
go
point
ahead.
is, you're there. Fans want you.
I mean, by numbers alone, he's top five.
I mean,
Because there's only been
five,
like,
whatever. My point is that and you don't have to believe me. I'm just telling you this as a black guy. Like a lot of times you aren't given opportunities to fail. So when you fail here, it's not going to be seen as the Jaguars had major dysfunction.
That's fair.
It's going to be seen as you failed. You might not ever get a job again.
No, that's fair. Now, I will say
they
this.
forget that you were a good coordinator sometimes.
Well, and I'll say this to your point, when I was making my case on why he messed up, I didn't factor in the color of his skin, because I would have said the same thing about Hackett. If Hackett wouldn't have gotten that other job, I'd have been like,
he made a mistake.
You made a mistake. But I guess in a way, like I should.
Right. And maybe 10 years from now, we might not be having the same conversation.
Oh, we will.
Or it might not be as deliberate or something like that. Actually, when I think about all of the stuff going on and it resurfaced the video, remember, have you seen the video? Like when the racists, I think the owner from MLB came out and said, well, why aren't there any black quarterbacks, or why aren't there any black head coach? They were asking, why aren't there more managers? And they're like, no, they don't have the qualities, or they don't have.
Who was it? Was that Marge Schott?
It wasn't an NFL guy. It was a baseball guy.
Yeah, no.
Oh, I thought you said Marty Schott.
No. Female or male?
It was a male.
Okay.
It was a male that said it, and then the host was like, basically looking at him like, you do know how you sound right now, right? And this was like, just looking. I don't remember. I was young when that happened, but looking at the the graphics, it was probably early 90s when he said this. But when that happened, look at baseball now. How in the hell does baseball have more black managers than the NFL? Baseball ain't 70% black.
You know what's interesting? I'm thinking of why you're saying that is, and maybe you're right. Maybe in 10 years this isn't an issue, because
there'll be other issues. But
well, you're right. 15 years ago, it was, why don't we have black quarterbacks? And now that's not. I don't think that's asked. I think there's still
a stigma.
There's still the Lamar Jackson, is he a receiver, quarterback occasionally? I'm not stupid, but I also understand that when you run 4-3, like that question is going to be asked, right?
Right.
Like,
I just think the problem with the Lamar Jackson thing is Lamar Jackson's isolated. There's only been one other person that's like Lamar Jackson. That was Michael Vick.
Right.
Let's take Cam Newton, Andrew Luck. That's the better comparison. And actually, they both came out the same year, right? No, Luck was the year after or something. Anyways, 4.6. The point is, both ran 4.6. One was considered, oh, he's just a good athlete. He just does this. He just does it. The other one, oh, well, he checks. We haven't had a quarterback this good since John Elway. All right. And fair. Like, you might like him, but like, he runs a 4.6. Why aren't you saying he's an athlete? Why aren't you talking about changing his position?
You're right.
So those are the things that tend to happen. But we also talk about it on this show. I don't think it's like when they say Lamar Jackson's going to be a wide receiver, I personally don't think, I forgot the exec's name, but he wasn't going out there like, I'm going to come out here and disparage. I'm going to be as mean as I can to Lamar Jackson. No, that's just his old curmudgeon coming out.
Very much the same as Stephen A. Jackson saying that Dwayne Haskins was an athlete.
Right. We know what happens this
time. But that's part of the problem.
Yeah, we know there's been I said it on the show before. What happened was there was a system that was in place for a long, long time that only put people in certain categories. Then you remove this. Just because you remove it doesn't mean the playing field is equal. That's like saying all right, you shoot the gun in 100-meter dash, and you get to go, and I have to go on the second one. Oh, well, now everybody's running 100 meters. Yeah, but you got a head start. You got to make it even. You got to give us some years to make it even. Let it play out.
I think it's funny when you hear the comparables. Like, that's the funny part to me, because, like, watch, Aiden Hutchinson will be compared to Bosa. He'll be compared to every white defensive end. Even if his game
is more
fits more, I don't know enough about him, but even if his game fits more of an African-American defensive end, like, that's the funny thing. It's like people can't even get out of that narrow frame of vision, of reference, to go, well, wait, this white quarterback plays like Cam. So that's the comparable. I think we talked about this last year. I don't remember who it was, but it was like they were comparing, gosh, without the example, it's going to sound terrible. But it happens every year. You'll see it.
Yeah.
So what, white guys will be compared to white guys. Black guys will be compared to black guys. Rarely does it change. And it's kind of crazy. Like, to your point, I don't think there's anything hurtful about it, but it's just the way things are seen.
It's part of it.
Like Cooper Kupp
should not. There's not a white wide receiver that I've ever seen that's as good as Cooper Kupp. But to that, there's not a black receiver. There's not very many black receivers I've seen, but he's more like.
I want to go back, though, to when he was drafted. We need to research this.
You know what?
Who was he compared to in his draft profile?
I bet it was wrong, too.
Exactly. I guarantee you. I bet you it was Wes Welker. I bet you it was who was Tom Brady's target in Tampa. That's gosh. Can't remember his name, but I bet you if you go back and look, that's what it is. It's something like that.
Wow, I thought he was fast. 3-cone drill was that's a good 3-cone drill. Short shuttle.
Oh, he was. I mean, people were talking about him through the draft process like he was going to be a superstar.
You want to know who?
Am I wrong on this?
Yeah, way wrong.
Okay,
this is a good comparison. This is a comparison like based on
Steve Smith.
What his numbers were. No, Jarvis Landry. At the beginning, he's not overly fast, pretty explosive. Can run routes, can do things like that.
Okay, well, I like being wrong on that then.
They just called him, basically saying he was a big slot receiver. Now, this doesn't make sense, this one thing right here, compared to what his raw number. Just me reading raw numbers. Mm-hmm. So his raw numbers, we ran a 6.78 3-cone, or the L drill. Excuse me, 6.75. He ran a 6.38. Crazy. 6.75 3-cone, 4.08 short shuttle, but he ran a 4.62 in the 40. And they say he's a build-up runner who doesn't seem to eat up cushion, or in his lateral quickness out of breaks is bad.
Whoa.
Yeah. Just for people who don't understand what the numbers say, like 3-cone and all short shuttle is all lateral and all explosion. Yeah. And cutting. Like those are, and to run sub 4.2 or sub 4.3 in the short shuttle means you're really, really damn good at that. And then
he must have had a bad 10 split.
He might have, or
it had to be something like that.
But yeah.
Well, I'm glad. So I'm glad. I mean, because that was the one I thought of earlier when I was thinking through this. It was like, wonder what and I didn't think to look what his comparables were. So I thought we were going to see.
I know, but first time for everything. Because we've read now this one draft profile, a kid that we knew. I thought the kid was a narco.
Yeah.
Like I thought he was like one of the most terrible people.
That's basically what they said.
Like 3 people.
Yeah. Terrible human being.
I don't even know why he even was invited to the combine. Makes no sense. I'm like, damn.
Is he still in the league?
I don't know.
What about our boy, the receiver that was at Chicago that went Duval on?
Oh, he's still in the league.
Where's he at?
He was in the with the vet. He's with the Raiders.
Really?
Somebody had told me had brought it up because they're bringing up Chauncey, but he wasn't with the Bears though.
Yeah, I knew he wasn't with the Bears because remember he dropped that pass in the playoffs last year.
You got me trying to remember his name.
I know. I'm terrible with names today for some reason. I'm still trying to think of that defensive position and what Gus Bradley called it. If anybody in the comments remembers, let us know. Let's get moving to Green Acres as well because I want to get into a couple of 8 o'clocks real quick and some non-Jags related stuff, kind of. GreenAcresSporting.com. Get over there for all of your hunting and fishing needs. Great partners of ours. If you like our show, go support them. If you're looking for a firearm, if you're looking for anything fishing related, a knife, whatever, just make that your first stop. That's all we ask. Give them the chance to earn your business before you go somewhere else. Get to greenacresporting.com. They're over off of Normandy Boulevard. Z will take care of you. They still have AR-15s as well. So get over there, can sell weapon classes, everything you need right there. Get to greenacresporting.com. Yep.
Chad is saying Otto or Leo position.
It was the Leo. It was the Leo.
It was.
And there was a Otto, but Leo was the one that everybody made the big deal about.
Yeah, it was Leo. Thank you for that, because that would have driven me crazy the whole time. What's going on at Auburn right now? If you're not paying attention, we were talking about this, and I don't want to get into too much of behind the scenes stuff, but it's interesting at Auburn right now because they've had, I want to say, 18 players hit the portal. Remember, Bo Nix left. He went to Oregon, reunited with Kenny Dillingham. I think they signed an okay class, not great, but an okay class.
Auburn?
Yeah.
Or Oregon?
Auburn.
Yeah, I don't know.
I have a quarterback there, Holden Gerner, who's a 4-star kid, really good. He signed there this year. So I've been paying a little closer attention. Last year, they had Mike Bobo as the offense coordinator. After the year was done, he was fired. He was let go. He's now at Georgia, back at Georgia.
He fired his wide receiver coach like 2 weeks in, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. Then he hired a guy from the Seahawks to be the OC.
They're ranked 18th ranked class.
Okay. He hired a guy from the Seahawks to be the OC. Now he's gone before he even got to spring ball. So there's been this crazy coaching turnover in addition to player turnover. Brian Harsin came from Boise State to Auburn. Like, what's going on? And it's been, in Florida, we've had so much coaching news here between Napier and between Cristobal and all that kind of stuff that I just kind of started paying attention to this. But what is going on at Auburn right now?
I mean, I think this is why I say you have to hire your coaches regionally with an understanding that we're all different, or at least they have had to spend some time. I don't know if anybody's ever paid attention to this, but Boise, Idaho, and Auburn, Alabama are like two different worlds.
Right.
I'm not sure if people recognize that or not.
They're not near each other.
They're not close. And one place is cold all the time. One place has 2 seasons,
right?
Like most of the South. The diversity in Idaho is probably a little bit different, and because of that, not just that, but the way of life is a little bit different. So like a lot of things from what I've understood that have gotten back to me from people who have been at Auburn are there are some cultural misunderstandings, like in ways that guys talk to each other and things of that nature. So I think that's one thing that that Harsons is having a hard time dealing with. And then secondly, like, you got a guy fired that while he might have been different too, they were pretty damn successful. Like, think about it, like, so Jimbo is on the trajectory.
Gus?
Yeah, Jimbo's on the trajectory up. Jimbo beat Gus in the national championship in year 2 for Gus, right? No, year 1 for Gus, if I remember. So like the boosters at Auburn wanted them gone.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the
Auburn's
players,
a booster-dominated place.
which I think is another big problem. And Harsons hinted to that. I don't think Harsons is right, like, for why the issues are going on. But like I said, multiple things could be true, which is something that really irks me about, like, the society we live in today. Like, for some reason, we don't believe that, like it has to be only one thing can be
black
true.
Or white, everything.
It's like multiple things can be true. He's like, that's why you're in the situation you're in now, is too many boosters have say. Think about all the coaches, like a lot of the places right now that are in turmoil. It's not to say that coach didn't deserve to be fired. It's saying that boosters probably had too much meddling to go into that. And the schools that are good, their boosters vocal, but they're going to be boosters whether those guys win natties or they don't. The best thing about Bama and why Bama's in the position that they're in now is even though when you look back on it, it really wasn't that bad, but it was bad considering
by Bama standards.
By Bama standards. That $1 million booster didn't say I'm only going to be $1 million booster if they're going to national championship. They were $1 million booster when they suck. They're $1 million booster now. Like they're consistent. So because what a lot of people say, I'm gonna stop giving my money until y'all act right. Well, what happens when you act right and now you need something? Now you're in a hole, as opposed to if you would have just been consistent, you would be all right, which still to me is weird to give that much money, but just saying if you're gonna do it, do it right. But I just think that's why you don't have West Coast guys come over here to the South. You typically try to find a Southern person to come over here, or if it's or they may be a West Coast person by birth, but they've been here so long that it's like
let me ask you this. So is this a preview of what's going to happen with Brian Kelly?
Of what? Yes. Yeah. Preview of Brian Kelly wasn't even that. It was the viral video. And I've seen all sides of it. But I'm going to tell you just my opinion. First thing I thought is, why is this old white man dry humping?
Why is he humping this guy's leg? Yeah.
Like, I've been on one of those 360 machines, man. You ain't gotta be postured like that on those machines, dude. I've been on it with women. Like I've been on it with other, like imagine, okay, for people who are like, okay, it's about a year ago I had a viral video, like which I thought was cool, but I learned don't do that again. But imagine if I was that close to my friend Sheena on one of those 360 machines, like how Brian Kelly, that would have really got me in trouble. So why would that be okay? Like why are people acting like that thought process couldn't go in their mind? And then a lot of other stereotypes. But I think Brian Kelly is just weird.
I do think though that we got to stop putting these coaches in these positions. Like, you got to know who your coach is. If your coach is Brian Kelly and you want his best side to come out, then you don't get that machine for your visit. You can do something else cool, right? You can do something else like that. I feel like Brian Kelly was kind of set up to fail. Now, Brian Kelly faking the accent, that's on Brian Kelly. There is no excuse for that. But if I've got Brian Kelly as my coach, then I'm not going to go, hey, on official visit weekend, coach, I want you dancing with our players on one of these 360 machines. Terrible idea. That person should be fired immediately.
Brian Kelly.
You don't see Jimbo doing that.
Stop putting it on anybody else other than Brian Kelly. Nobody told you to hop your ass. Like, you're a grown man. You know that's not what you do.
Don't even put that temptation.
The only time that I've ever, back, he was young then. This was 20 years ago, which was still old. But Mac Brown, when they won a national championship, they were playing. I remember watching ESPN, and they were talking about how do you relate to Vince Young, and he was like, "Well, you know what I did was I heard him listening to some music one day, and I said, hey man, what you listening to? I want to be able to." And I'm going down. Said, "Now I can't promise that I understand or will repeat all of those words." He's like, "But some of that ain't bad." That was an older man looking like he was trying to relate, but didn't go outside of himself.
Right.
The thing that I love the most, and people tell me, why did I love Bobby so much? I don't know what Bobby was to any of these people, anybody else. I just know what he was to me. I'm not going to defend or refute whatever happened in the past with other people. All I can talk about is me and what my relationship was. But Bobby did not try to be a young 17, 18-year-old inner city kid when he came to me. He was an old-ass white man, Bible thumper, and father figure, and he knew what he was, but he found a way to make that relatable to where I was at. That's true transparent. That's genuineness.
I think that's Saban too, right?
And Saban does it. What you just talked about with Jimbo. The only thing that I've ever seen Saban do something, and it was kind of out of character, but he did it so well that I was like, maybe it is character.
Right.
Is when I seen him wobbling and electric sliding. I had just never seen Saban do that before.
Yep.
But he was so damn good at it that I was just like,
it added to his street cred. Didn't take away from it.
But like, if I saw Lane Kiffin do that, I probably would think less of it than Brian, because
no doubt,
it's when it looks awkward is when it becomes bad.
He didn't do this at Notre Dame.
He didn't. Now,
right?
to his defense, he wouldn't have been able to get that kid. That kid probably wouldn't have qualified.
No, I
to get
got you,
into
but
Notre Dame.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, for some reason, he's feeling like he needs to be a different person at LSU than he was at Notre Dame, and that's not what got you to LSU.
Bro, yeah,
LSU's like everybody else. If you win, they don't care.
Facts.
But you're looking a little bit silly right now, Brian. You better win.
Right.
Let's get to Jimbo, because Jimbo made big news on signing day because of a press conference where he lost his crap a little bit. I love it. I like it, and I think it's a little bit of posturing. I think it's a lot of bit of posturing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, this is going to go really well or horribly wrong for him. He is literally calling out SEC coaches.
Well,
right
those
now.
to his defense, and it's ironic and hilarious to me at the same time that Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss, which is known, they got rid of a coach for this. Love you, Kirby, but Kirby, this is me. Come on, bro. It's Georgia. I heard the stories, dog. I ain't gonna. I'm not here to talk about stuff, but like, come on, dog. And now Nicholas, our dear Nick Saban, we love you to death, dog. But the Charger joke came from you,
right?
And this man came from your tree. Like, for those three coaches, for those to be the three coaches that are saying that something's wrong going over there at Texas A&M, like, you guys don't have a leg to stand on right now.
But I think Jimbo played it wrong.
I know. You know how I know Jimbo's lying? Same reason I know when Coach Norvell's lying. Those are very well-spoken people. When you get to stuttering,
yeah,
when you like over simple ass questions, I think that just undermines all the hard work that me and my coaches have been doing. You know, come on, like you stuttering. For each stutter is one comma. Like one comma.
Right or wrong, though. Right or wrong, I think he played this wrong, because even if they aren't paying guys, let's just say they're not. Let's say there's not these big NIL deals. I want recruits to think I need to go check out Texas A&M because they're getting cash.
Have you heard the recruits still talk about this? And I want to. It's always about the money. I don't ever hear anybody say it wasn't about the money. It's always about the money. There might be other factors that play into it, but if it wasn't about the money, we'd be all do everything we do for free. But if you've Julian Amaro, or however you say his name, it was a kid that committed to Georgia. There was a couple other kids, and they all talked about, like, yes, which technically is illegal, but nobody's gonna push it. Yeah, they talked to us about what we can make in the NIL, but honestly, I'm really focused on getting to the NFL and beginning this. The people who are more worried about the NIL are the old curmudgeons that are just afraid that this is going to ruin that every day need to say that this is going to ruin college football.
No doubt. But that being said, I know for a fact, and I will not say names here, but there are parents in this world right now that are charging $30,000 to go on visits.
Yeah.
Okay, so
but that's not. But let's put this in perspective.
Yes, y'all heard me right. They're getting $30K per visit. Every time you see them going, how are they affording that? Oh, they're banking.
Yeah, they're banking. But maybe that number is a lot higher than it was. But none of this is really new. The only thing now is that it's legal. Technically, it's not legal.
Well, that's not legal.
It's not legal for underclassmen, depending on your state. If you're from the state of Florida, it's not. It's still illegal. You can't have an NIL deal in high school, basically. So that means your kid cannot profit from their skill set.
Can, however, have an NFT deal.
Yes, but that hasn't.
I think.
No, you have an opportunity to earn. So, like, for example, if your kid, I can't come and say, I'm going to sign your kid to Sports Dead Media. We can't do that. I can, however, pick up your YouTube channel and put it under Dead Media Group.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then you can be paid the same amount of money as everybody else is, or you're open to the same amount of funds as everybody else is, because you're able to work. You're able to have a YouTube channel. You just can't profit off of being an athlete. Like that. You're no different than any other high school kid now. Or let me rephrase it. That can't be what stops you from going to college and being able to play, because you're able
They're
to
not in the state of Florida. I'll say that. I'm not going to say what state they're in, but I know of a high school kid who just got $180,000 NFT deal. High school.
He sold the NFT or NFT company because the NFTs are different.
Yeah, he got paid.
Okay. No. I'm saying you could get paid. We had the guy on. If you want to go get
He owns
chance,
a percentage of
right.
his NFT.
So on Inside Drills, me and Freddie.
I don't want to talk about this. I'm still pissed about this.
We had a guy come in and talk about NFTs, and what he brought up was, imagine if NFTs.
I hope he was terrible.
He was. Imagine if NFTs had been around when LeBron James was coming out. LeBron James could have made an NFT of his freshman year in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And what would that be worth now? And he would continue to get residuals on it. So in theory, he could have sold 100 LBJ NFTs to get to the equivalent of that. That's not an NIL deal.
Right.
That's you selling a product. You're giving a product out. So again, it's the one thing they did is make it a lot of gray area. But like, I just think the kids still have a firm understanding that while I can make a lot of money right now, the rookie minimum by the time I get to the NFL is going to be $1 million. So like,
more. Yeah,
I got to get to the league.
Yep.
And
what gives me the best chance?
Like, what gives me the best chance? So where Texas A&M is dope that you just signed all of these top cats, and you got a bunch of cats coming in next year. Eventually, guys are going to have to step back and look at their brand and look at the Jermaine Johnsons of the world. Jermaine Johnson went to Georgia because he felt like that was the best thing for him. But you went and there were five-star defensive ends. The numbers just aren't for you.
Yeah, you didn't get screwed. You just didn't. Yeah, you didn't get an opportunity.
Like, and I'm not suggesting run away from, but there's only so many. It's what we talked about the other day. Maybe you're just not good enough, or maybe you didn't analyze the situation enough. Like, if there's 10 running backs in Alabama, and every year they've signed the #1 running back in the nation, and they only run for 1,500 yards a pop, which is good. I'm looking at Florida State, and they only got 4 running backs in their room, and the running back that just left, he ran for 1,300. I'm gonna take my chances over here to see the field early and start making money and things like that. But I just. It's not. It's all interesting. I'll say that. But for Jimbo to flat out, Jimbo know how the game is played. And for Jimbo to flat out say that, okay, you know what? Maybe he's not lying. They didn't come there for NIL deals. They came to they just straight up paid him. Then they're fine, right. Jimbo. You just straight up gave him $1 million a piece. But I also do think that a lot of times, just like the bag man is. A lot of people don't know, because if you did know, as much as you're saying, like, everybody would be in trouble.
Yeah,
I heard a great quote dropped.
Bagman's very rare.
The people who know don't say anything,
yep.
And the people who say anything typically don't know.
That's right.
And I will say that if you think that, now I'm gonna preface this, that these guys became multimillionaires by investing their money in it, giving them an ROI. But if you think that $30 million to bring in 30 high school kids that we don't even know what they're going to pan out was spent, I got beachfront property in Idaho to sell you. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that millions might have not been spent, but I'm telling you 30 million wasn't spent. I can now, if Jimbo only said 30 million, then he's not lying. He's lying if he says what no money.
Right. Well, and that's anywhere. Yeah. That's anywhere.
But that's why I find it ironic that 3 coaches, who 2 of which are churning out class after class, are the ones that are coming at his neck. But my quick hate o'clock is, it goes back to the NFL. Brian Flores situation, not the NFL, mm-hmm. Not white people, mm-hmm. Black people.
Oh, dear.
During Black History Month.
So if there's a march, you wouldn't have this 8 o'clock?
No, I still have it.
Okay. All
right. And this goes to a tweet that I put out. Let's say, like, well, again, multiple things can be true. Let's say we're in a court of law, right? And the NFL presents a case that Brian Flores was a disgruntled employee. That, let's just say, they said he's not black. He's Spanish because his last name is Flores. I'm gonna say why I'm bringing these points up. And then let's just say
I just never even thought about
if he had not been fired, he would have never had to do the interview with the Giants and blah blah blah. All those things are true.
Hold on, is Flores is Spanish? Okay.
Does any of that have anything to do with he feels like he caught them at 4K with the Bill Belichick?
No.
So, court here to tell you, that's all that matters in civil court.
Right.
They call. He feels like, and then what they're going to do is they're going to get more information. And why the NFL will settle is because the same thing that happened with John Gruden. They're going to find information. That information will leak. We have no idea. You just
probably striking at the perfect time.
Just like you don't want to be like you don't want to be in your wife's group chat. I'm telling you, men, don't look at it. It's terrifying. Women's locker rooms. Women's thoughts are terrifying places. Trust me.
Women's coaches, remember
women's
that?
Coaches. The worst cursing that we've ever heard was from a women's coach. God. Not a man coaching women.
Had us
from
blushing.
A woman coaching women.
Yes.
But those are things that I've heard. And then, like, I heard one person say, "Well, would he say the NFL was racist if he didn't get fired?" And I was just like, "Well, I've heard." One of my friends was like, "I've heard you complain about our governor with racist policy, but you're a teacher still." Mm-hmm. Why do you get to complain?
You gotta support your family, just like
you got to support your family. This is what he knows to do. Oh, well, why is he still going for a job if the NFL is so bad? Well, it's the only one we have, and the only real league that make money. You can go coach anywhere else.
I mean, you can't give credence to somebody says that.
What
though,
I'm saying
right?
is these aren't what white people are saying.
No, I got it.
But I'm saying these are what black people are saying. And this is the one that really, because it trips me out because a lot of these things hit me. They're like, one of them was, well, they looked at his wife. I got Umar Johnson, who you should never, like Umar Johnson, you only follow him if you want to laugh. He has some righteous things he said, but most of the part is over the top. His wife is, she isn't black. She isn't dark. Okay. She's Spanish. You can look at her and tell she has some Spanish.
So did he take her last name?
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
But they're like, well, she ain't black. She's Spanish. And I'm like, and then somebody had nerve to ask me this. Me. Well, ask a Spanish person, do they consider themselves black? If you didn't hear it, a black Spanish man just said yes. And I'm like, guys, like, so I asked one person, I said, so is my son's not black? And they're like, what do you mean? I said, my son is half Panamanian. Like, these people are fresh off the boat. It's the things that and then Tiki Barber is another example. Like, again, coming in, which I don't think Tiki understood what this looked like. Like, I love Bobby to death, but you ain't gonna see me in tears. When PK did his stuff, I've explained why I felt, but I wouldn't in no. Can't believe anybody ever talk about Bobby like that. Tiki is in tears. I'm like, Tiki, because I also understand I never spent 24 hours with Bobby. I don't know what he does every day. I don't know what he was like as a young man in Alabama.
Tiki was in tears of the
owner of the Giants,
okay, of Mara, okay.
And for them to even suggest that they may have done anything racist. And I'm like, Tiki, all of that, what you said could be true. They could really have been great to you and considered you like a family and still been racist. I got like George Wallace. We all know segregation today, segregation tomorrow, segregation forever. Was on a documentary with his best black friend. But he still said segregation tomorrow, segregation today, segregation forever. You can be multiple things. There are people who probably think I'm a terrible person. Depending on who that person is, if you tell me tell me who said it, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to say, yeah, that person had every right to say what I said. But now I may preface it, did they tell you why I was a terrible person to them? There's always a why. I ain't just out here kicking people for no reason, like Urban. I'm out here. It's a reason why you got kicked. You might be.
The guy missed kicks. He didn't kick him for no reason.
You're right. My point is,
don't besmirch Urban's name like that.
In all of this, I'm like, yo, what does any of that have to do?
That's with the bigger point.
With what actually happened. I don't care who. Your wife could be the whitest person in the world. Did he get discriminated against or did he not?
Right.
You can be Spanish and brown, like you, whatever. Okay. Spanish people, I don't care what some Spanish people believe. If you guess what they do when discrimination hits them, they find out real quick how brown they is or how brown they not.
Mm-hmm.
I joke with Indian. It's some Indian people that's darker than me with straight hair that find out real quick that when you get pulled over, they don't distinguish it that fast until you start. Maybe when you start talking, they'll distinguish it, but they don't distinguish it just like, oh, that's it. Let them go. The point is did the discrimination happen or did it not happen? If you want the argument that happened that it didn't, cool. Let's have the proof. Or if you want to even say, let it play out in court, I'm 100% with you. Let it play out in court or however it plays out. But to come up to be black or a minority and come up with all these reasons as to why he posted it without acknowledging that, it happened. It happened.
Yeah.
Is crazy but it goes to show me something. This is why I'm tied into Black History. There was somebody who just released something, and it's the truth. If you want to go back and look why the Birmingham bus boycotts work or why the jail things work, they were finding out when Martin Luther King found out that they were getting paid money for each person that was in jail based upon giving them high bail amounts and all these things. What he did was say, all right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to just fill the jails and not pay bail. The adults who were actually affected, the black people who could actually affect change immediately were the first. Well, I got to work. I got to do this. I can't have this cake. I can't have that. You know who the people who filled it were? The kids. That's why they had a bunch of children. Those water hose pics that you see, the dogs getting sick, the things that went viral. Those now, unfortunately, I think it was because of how hard people had to live back then. A 10-year-old in the 60s could look 25. If you look at Martin Luther King, most people think MLK was like 50. No, that just aged him. MLK was my age when he died. He just did a lot more than I did, but just he was my age. Those prisons, those jails were filled with young people. And what I'm finding is the only way to get change right now is we got to bank on the next generation. And you know what the next generation is doing? They're hiding in the whole new universe online. I ain't got no hope for y'all. I'm moving to Canada. But no, that's just my 8 o'clock is just how
you're gonna have to wrap this up because I'm about to pee on myself.
I'm done.
I can't focus on anything else. All right, so we're out.
Yeah, we're out. We're done.
All right, good thing there's a bathroom close. All right, we'll see y'all on Monday.